Hey there, YouTube. Farm Rigging here. Welcome back to the channel. So today is the big day. In a previous video, I talked about this project and the different things that I was going to need to do on it. And today we're actually going to go ahead and start working on it. I'll spin around here. Hopefully I don't make you too dizzy there. We're finally working on the 4630 there. So the problem with this tractor is I bought it in the condition that it's in. It had transmission issues. Didn't want to go forward and back. It managed to crawl onto the trailer under its own power. The cab's a mess. I'll kind of do a walk around here. I think I did a walk around video a while back, but I'll kind of do a refresher as to the condition of this thing. It's a good running tractor. Starts right up, runs really well. Somebody I think's been into the engine on this thing, or if they didn't, they took decent enough care of the engine that it runs good. The rest of the tractor is in pretty rough shape. Got it home, did a bunch of testing on it. Went and bought a shifter guide for the levers in there because that was all broke out of it. I actually found broken parts of that in the cab as I was digging through it, through all the junk that's in the cab there. Bought a new piece, put that in, got it to drive. It'll drive. I backed it in the shop here. Very, very weak. You have to rev the throttle up pretty high to get it to move. But it will move around under its own power now. I had to do some adjustments to the shims. But we're gonna go ahead and split this tractor, put a new clutch in it, put a new clutch pack in it. It's a quad range transmission. So that's what we're gonna do today. So here, let me flip the camera around and I'll show you around this thing. Okay, so for those of you just tuning into this video series, this is a John Deere 4630 tractor with the hydraulic front assist. From everything that I have researched and been exposed to and had experience with, this front end has mixed reviews. In this big of a tractor, it works okay from everything that I have heard and read about. The hydraulic front assist on the smaller tractors, there just wasn't enough horsepower in the tractor to be able to send power to the front axle arrangement and power, you know, whatever it is it was running. And so it was one of those ideas, I think, that looked better on paper than in reality. These bigger tractors, it tends to work okay. This tractor is pretty much, its main job is going to be pulling a Pro Ag stacker. So the hydraulic front assist is only there for if we get in a sticky situation on a hill or whatever, to kind of help pull along. It's also going to be the spray tractor. I got I think it's a 300-gallon sprayer, 3-point sprayer that I'm going to put on this thing, at least until I get a self-propelled sprayer at some point. This will be the spray tractor. So it's in fairly rough shape. I have the hood off of it. The hood's down here. It's got some dings and dents around the outside edges of the holes and such for the hood. Nothing pretty to look at that way. It's got decent rubber all the way around on it. The back tires are like brand new. I don't have the duals for it. I probably will eventually get duals for it, just so it can double work as a field tractor if it needs to, if I got another tractor that goes down. I've started disassembly. I pulled off, as you can see, some of the panels and stuff on it already. I pressure washed it already because it was just absolutely filthy. I think I was like 2 or 3 hours on the pressure washer cleaning it up to what you see right now. There is some hoses that are messed up on the front axle there that I need to replace. I'm probably going to replace all of those hoses there. But other than that, the sheet metal is fairly straight on it. I had another tractor long time ago that these fenders were absolutely hammered. I don't know what they were doing to mess them up. And those are not fun to change. You gotta take a lot of things apart to change, and then you gotta cut spot welds, re-weld spot welds. It's quite a project. I've already done that, and it's not fun. So this one, thankfully, doesn't need that. It needs a whole cab seals all around all the windows and stuff. Those are just non-existent on some of those windows. It's got 3 remotes on the back here. That was one of the requirements that I wanted for the stacker. And I hope, I had a tractor that had 3 remotes, and it was a funky tractor in the sense of the 3rd remote was for running like a corn planter. It had it was power up, gravity down. I forget what the setup was inside the actual SCV, but it was not a normal SCV. So I'm hoping all 3 of these are the same that way, which would be super nice, because with the stacker, it has 3 sets of hydraulic hoses. So you can just plug them all in, and you don't need a hydraulic splitter like I have on one of my other tractors that just has 2 remotes. It's got the big 1000 PTO shaft on it, drawbar. Based on looking at these, somebody's been in here to the caps, at least on these couple. I don't know about this one. I didn't get to this one with the pressure washer. Apparently is good, but I think somebody's resealed it. It's just running the old John Deere style hydraulic fittings there. But yeah, other than that, it's in fairly decent shape. The lights are junk on it. We'll have to address that at some point. Other side's pretty much the same. I got a low tire there. I got a slow tire leak, apparently. When I say slow, that's 2 or 3 months worth of sitting, so it's not that bad. There's the other side of the engine. The muffler needs to be replaced. As you can see, I've been beating on it. It's seized up on that coupler spot there. AC system needs to be redone. There's, I think somewhere along here, there's a gaping hole in the AC line, if I remember right. So it's pretty much junk. As you can see, it was, if that's anything to go by, it needs a new AC system. So here's the inside of the cab. I've seen worse, but this one's pretty bad. You can see the amount of dirt and junk in the cab here. The steering column leaks, steering valve. I'm gonna have to get that fixed fairly soon. Drives me nuts whenever I get into this thing. Let's see if I can. No, I just took that step off. I get up in there and show you the rest of it, and kind of see what it looks like up in there. Kind of pan you around a little bit so you can see. I just started taking apart the step and everything, getting ready to split this tractor. Got a quad range transmission, and we need to split it and get it out, because something's come apart in there. You can hear it when you drive it. You know, there's something going on in there. That obviously is not factory. The baling wire. It's not a farm tractor, I swear, unless there's baling twine or wire hanging off of it someplace. So we're gonna go ahead and try to fix it. My goal is to have this tractor done by the end of June. We'll see if that actually happens, but that's my goal. The list of things that need to be done on it is obviously, first we got to get it running and driving. Second thing, we got to make the AC work. And third thing is it needs a cab kit really bad. Still debating if I'm going to replace the whole suspension setup in here, or if I'm just going to go ahead and get a whole new seat assembly. I'm not 100% sure on that. I've got to decide what I'm going to do before I order the cab kit, because it's 2 different part numbers when you order the cab kit, one for the manual suspension seat and one for the hydraulic suspension there. So I got to figure out what I'm doing. Of course, I wouldn't necessarily replace it with the hydraulic seat. I would just replace it with an air ride underneath there. But I got to figure that out at some point here. So, and then the final thing is we got to put our light package on this. My buddy and I jokingly refer to it as the Midnight Sun light package, LED light package. We do a lot of work at night because we run such a short-staffed crew, at least for me, consisting of me, myself, and I. So we do a lot of work at night to make the difference up. And there's nothing worse, as probably many of you know, that farm, being in a tractor with a poor light package and not being able to hardly see what you're doing in the middle of the night. So we put a bunch of LEDs on this. My buddy is over at White Pine Flats Farms. He's the one that came up with this light package, and we've done, I think, 4 or 5 tractors now in this light package. So this one's gonna get the same treatment. We are experimenting because we do a lot of roading tractors and equipment down the road. We are considering doing some sort of a LED strobe light system on this tractor or on our tractors. This tractor being where we would be into wiring would probably be the first one that we would do. We'll see how that comes along, what time allows. I want to try to get it painted. When I say painted, a simple rattle can job. I did that on one of my other tractors that I did, mask things off and try to get the nice, John Deere paint, and carefully paint, individual pieces, and just kind of spruces it up a little bit, makes it look nice, particularly the hood. Get new decals, not decals, whatever they call them things, stickers, decals, whatever it is on the side there. We'll get some new one of those and repaint the hood, make it look nice again. So that's the plan. So I'm gonna get a little bit further along, and then I'll turn the camera back on once I get disconnecting a few more things. You can see the oil pan underneath there. I've been draining the oil out of it. Shut the camera off and I'll turn it back on when I got some more to show. Okay, so with some time here, I've been working on this for probably, I'm gonna say 2 hours now at this point. This tractor, I believe, is ready to split. So when you go and do one of these, you got to remove the battery boxes on either side, and there's one on this side and there's one on the other side there. I took the starter leads off, batteries out. Obviously this tractor only had one. We're gonna have to run another battery cable for the other battery because all of them were removed. You have to remove this little line that goes to the I'm blanking out, it's midnight now. What this is called. Anyway, I think it's oh, come on. Blanking out on what it is, but the line goes to this fitting right over here. You got to remove that. You have to remove a wire harness that goes to this solenoid, at least this solenoid on this tractor. I believe this is a factory solenoid. You got to remove the wiring harness that goes to here. It also goes through the firewall to right in here and right here. You got to undo it there, and then that whole thing just pulls out. There was a little wire connected to it. It was all mangled up. It's somewhere in here. I ended up just cutting it. I'm going to replace that section of wire when this tractor goes back together. Here you go. Here's that connection that goes inside the cab. Like I said, somebody put a bunch of silicone on it. I don't know what they were trying to accomplish there. You got to remove these 4 lines up here. One of them goes into a rubber hose. The other 3 go into GIC fittings, basically. Remove the air filter housing and filter. And I removed the intake on the turbo, and then you remove it up here. My hose was old and cracked and just came apart. I believe you can slide the hose to one side and pull it out. I'm just gonna get a new hose because mine came apart in pieces. You have to undo the AC lines. If you're working on a tractor like this, it was last worked on in '96 apparently. The system is completely empty. This whole system is gonna get redone anyway. I'm gonna put a whole new system I'll do a video on it when I go to do it. There's a company, Abilene Machine, that sells a whole update kit for one of these tractors that changes the AC system over to the newer style. I'm blanking out on what it's called. It's R134, I think, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. You got to undo it. I decided to undo it here and take that whole big line out. Sitting on the floor right there. However, there are 2 connectors. You can see the end right there and the end right there. They connect up underneath the tractor in these 2 locations. You got to undo them. You have to undo this line that is leaking into this bucket. Actually, I didn't catch it and it was leaking outside the bucket. You got to undo this line here. I believe these lines go to the pump, and I believe the lines on the other side go to the hydraulic front assist, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that. Maybe these lines go to that. On this side of the tractor, I think that's all you have to do. You have to drain the coolant system on this tractor along with the oil system underneath there, the whole transmission oil, trans oil assembly. You got to drain that before you start this project. Just go ahead and do it. It makes your life a lot easier. We then go around to this side of the tractor, and you have to undo this main plug right here, which is super nice because where's it at? It's right here. Okay, it's just a 3/8 bolt. You take it out, it's a main plug. And then that connector, which stays with the cab, slides out of this main harness so that this whole thing can slide and come apart. You have to undo, this is the kill cable, and that slips in right there. And you can't see it down in there. I'm focusing on everything. There we go. You got to undo it right there. You got to undo the throttle, which is right here, throttle linkage. And if your tractor is new or not, I shouldn't say new, in better shape than this one, you can take this apart right here. This one's all messed up, so we're gonna just leave that and deal with it when the tractor comes apart. So we're just gonna have to be careful as this comes apart. We'll just have to shimmy this so that it'll not get bound up on anything as the tractor comes apart. You have to undo this right here, this wire. The tach sensor, I believe this is the tach sensor here. You have to undo this line, which is, I believe it's a pilot line for the pump. I could be wrong on that. And it's way up back in there is where that screws onto. You have to undo this steel line right here. Disconnect that. These 2 lines are the heater core lines, I believe. And they connect right here. Make sure and mark which one is which, so you know when you're putting it back together, which line goes where. you have to undo this right here. I believe this is part of the AC. Is it part of the AC system, or is it part, I can't remember where that goes, but you have to, needless to say, you have to undo it there. And what else? You have to undo some connections here to get this wiring harness business fished out of there. So I think that is it. I think I've showed you all of the connections. So right now we are ready to split this tractor. I'm gonna get a jack set up. I don't have splitting gear, splitting apparatus or whatever for these tractors. I think I'm going to utilize in the future, because all of this junk is going to come off. All this steel bits are going to come off. This tractor apparently had a loader on it at some point, but we're going to take all that off because this tractor is never going to have a loader on it. Which means it has a different style front counterweight system. So we're going to have to call around and get potentially get a new system. If we can't get weights like the other tractors that I have for a reasonable price, we'll just go ahead and continue using this. But I would like to get a different style front weights, the suitcase weights. If that's the case, this bit right here is going to become part of my splitting apparatus that I'm going to weld in the future. Today, however, we are not going to do that because I'm trying to get this thing done in the fastest possible way. So we're going to use this. This is my transmission jack for the semi-truck transmissions. It lifts about 4,500 pounds. And I think this whole operation weighs 4,500 pounds. So it should have no problem holding up one side and sliding it apart. If I need to, I'll run a jack on one side or the other when it comes time to put it back together to adjust it. Maybe I'm not making the right call, but we're gonna try that, I think. Before we do that, however, I'm gonna get this jack set up with a piece of box tubing on it that goes from this piece. You can't see it, but there's another one. Well, maybe you can see it. Yeah, you can kind of see it back there. There's another one. I'm gonna raise the jack up with a piece of box tubing until it touches that, and then I'm gonna take the welder and I'm gonna tack that piece of box tubing to this. And then this jack has these little feet, and we're gonna tighten them down so that it kind of pinches the box tubing in here. It can't move. That way, this whole operation will just slide right apart, in theory. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and I'll turn the camera on when I go to split this thing. The bolts that you need to take out when you're splitting one of these tractors is you need to take these two bolts out here. Is there a third one in there? I don't think so. I think it's just these two. And then you get three. Is it three? Let's see. Yep, three. 1, 2, 3 bolts on this side. Let's come around over here. And you have to take, yep, there's 1, 2, and 3 bolts there. And then you've got, yep, 2. 1 and 2 here. And then theoretically, this thing should slide right apart. We're gonna find out here in a few minutes. So I'll shut the camera off and I'll turn it on when I have everything ready to go. Okay guys, so apologize about that. It's the next day. It was 1, 2 o'clock in the morning when I was splitting this thing. And I was getting tired and went ahead and split it. Didn't film anything. Kind of forgot to set the camera up. However, it came apart, nothing dramatic or anything like that. So the only thing that you got to remember on these, which I was being a dummy late at night and I forgot, are these two bolts at the bottom here. You got to make sure and take those out. They're 3/4 inch. All the small bolts around the housing are 3/4 inch, and then the big bolts are 1 1/8 inch. And they should be lubed up or whatever to the point that you can crack them loose with an open end wrench and then spin them right out by hand. That's the way this one was. And nothing dramatic, nothing exciting happened. You got to adjust as it's coming apart. When you're undoing the bolts, you can see the crack right here open up. And the biggest thing is you got to make sure that this crack is opening evenly. If it's not, like say it's opening at the top and not the bottom, you want to lower it. If it's opening at the bottom, not the top, you want to raise it and just kind of adjust your jack here and your jack here. And I've got a slow leak on this jack, which is why I got so many jack stands and everything here. And this whole front is just slowly settling here. So, but for now, that's fine. It's not going to be a big deal. It's going to sit here for a minute or two. So yeah, it was no big deal. By yourself, it's a little difficult because you got to alternate between that wheel and the wheel on the opposite side, pushing it out. It's going to be fun when it comes time to roll it back together, because you got to line. I mean, this is a little tiny shaft here. It's a hex shaft. You got to line this thing, and it moves and whatever. You got to line this thing up inside there. So putting this thing back together should be fun. Once it slides together and you can put the bolts in, though, it's not a big deal. Another thing, unless you've got, okay, so if you've got a jack on this side and a jack on this side independently like that, this isn't an issue. If you're doing it like I am, however, you want to make sure and put a 2x4 on each side. This side's loose, the other side's resting on it, because this thing will rock back and forth. And you just want to make sure that it doesn't like rock over to the side and cause a bunch of problems. So so make sure and do that. I actually learned that tip from I'm blanking out on the channel, The Boss Garage. One of his earlier videos, he split a 4430, and this is how he did it. I actually have a 4430 as well. Thank goodness I haven't had to split it, but I'm sure it'll happen at some point in the future. Hopefully far down the road. But so yeah, that's what the inside of this thing looks like. On that side, here's your clutch right here. I believe I can get a full remanufactured unit right here. Deere sells all the parts to rebuild this. From everything I was pricing out, however, to get all the parts to rebuild this from Deere is like almost $4,000. To get a remanufactured one, including core charge, so let's say I didn't send this in, is $1,600, and it's from a company called Abilene Machine. They use John Deere parts and whatever to rebuild, and if they don't, they're all made in the same basic area, I believe. I've heard nothing but good things from Abilene Machine, so I think we're going to go that route. We're going to order a clutch from them. Depends on how bad they're going to beat me up on shipping, but I can't imagine it'd be very, very expensive. So we're probably going to get a new clutch from them and just bolt a new clutch on this thing just to, be done with it. Here's the bit that Abilene Machines for the older serial. Now, see, this is an early serial number tractor. For the older serial number tractors, they do sell a whole rebuilt high-low range clutch pack that'll bolt right in. Of course, they don't have one, either one. Early, they don't even, do that. In the later ones, apparently they're out of stock or something. So we're going to rebuild it ourselves. We'll see how that goes. Priced all the parts out from Deere. I think it's about $1,000 to do, so it shouldn't be too bad. So plan for today. So we know what we need to order is we're going to take this housing bit out. I'm blanking out on the correct term of what that's called. We're gonna get it out, and then we're gonna get in there and pull the clutch pack. Figure out what we need to do. Hopefully at some point here we'll find, you know, blown clutch discs and that sort of thing to kind of indicate that that's what the problem was. But other than that, we're just gonna tear it apart, put it back together, and she should be all good to go. So yeah, I'm gonna shut the camera off and then I'll turn it on when I get a little bit further along here. Okay, so the next thing, I probably should have done this earlier, is on this tractor, you take off this bit right here. This is for the 3-point, one of the 3-point, the top link. And you take this plug out. The bolts for this piece are 1 1/8 inches, and the plug's 1 1/4 inches. Make sure and use a 6-point because you don't have very much bite on this. And pull that plug out, and then this hex shaft slides right out. It's like it's about 4.5 feet long. So that slides out of the inside of the hole. I don't know if it's picking up. Yeah, you can see right on through the other end there. So first we got to take that out. Now we got to go take care of removing the valve on the side of the transmission. Okay, so what you need to do, let me try to hold this light up so you can kind of see. Over here, you got to remove this line right here. You got to remove this and a damaged piece that I'm gonna have to fix here. It looks just like this. There's a roll pin there. You drive it out, you drive this out, and you finagle getting the spring off. There's a line right here that you need to take off that runs down over here. Undo these 2 wires on this. And we're ready to undo all the bolts that hold this apparatus in and pop it out of there. So I'll set you up and you can watch me doing that. Okay, well, we got a little carried away with tearing things apart and forgot to turn the camera on. So we got this valve assembly out. There's some roll pins that you got to take out here. And then these slide right off. I got to fix that piece there. Moving on to the inside, you can see there's a great big gaping hole in there. So we got the 2-speed out. It's sitting over on the bench. I'll take you over there and show you. That's what the inside of one of these things looks like. So I turn this light off. FYI, these little Milwaukee lights, they fit perfect right in the where the input shaft goes there, and it shines right in over there, so it works out really good. So let me walk over here and I'll show you kind of what you have to do to get one of these things apart. I wanted to film it, but you can't really get, with one person, you can't really get the camera in there to do things justice. So this input shaft right here slides in right here. And it slides out the backside. You got to take out these 6 bolts around the outside and these 5 bolts on the inside, and this thing just falls right out. Once you get that out, you have to, well, first of all, you have to get, you got to pound a roll pin out. Actually, that's for the, let's see, is that for, no, you take this out first and then you take the little arm, actuating arm out. That's a little bit of a pain to get out, a little tricky. Then you take this piece out that is sitting kind of down in here. This thing is sitting on its face. So this is what's deep in the transmission. So on the other side of this, you take this little piece out. It's a little bushing guide, whatever you want to call it. Now this one, in order to get this out, I'll try to show you here. This is the input shaft coupling, whatever it is you want to call it. And this slides through this You know, picture this, it's the opposite. This is up against the transmission. So this is the way it is. It's sitting, you know, the shaft goes through this whole planetary assembly this way. In order to get this out, what you have to do is you have to manufacture a tool in the John Deere Tech Manual. They show you in the picture there at the top right hand corner. I'll kind of pan out so you can pause the video and zoom in and read all that. What you have to do is you got to build a tool, a 1/4-inch rod, and oh, come on, focus, you stupid thing. So just basically a rod, 1/4-inch rod that I pounded the end over. They say weld a washer on the one end. I did that. Washer doesn't fit in the hole. This works just fine. What you do is you take this thing and you fish it down in there all the way through until it comes out, and you start pulling on it. And what you got to do is you line up all of these splines with the splines. I don't know if you can't really see it in there, but there's splines, and you can see a little bit. There's splines in there, and you got to get them all lined up while you're kind of jiggling this whole assembly. And you pull this thing, and then it'll just boop, pop right out. Mine came all the way out when I pulled it. So that's how you get that shaft out. It's a little tricky. And then this thing falls right out of there. Now they say to put the input shaft in there and use it as like a rod. I just rolled it out. I rolled it up and over, you know, it's sitting like this, and then I just kind of rolled it out like that where it was at. It's not that heavy. It's, I don't know, maybe 40 pounds or so, something like that. So the good thing is I'm not seeing any major components in here that are damaged. So this should be, everything's tight and moves like it's supposed to. So this should be just a simple rebuild on this of all the clutch discs and such. Same with the clutch, although I'm replacing the whole clutch assembly. So this should be fairly straightforward. And so now we just got to tear this down and put new parts in it. But I think that's going to be the subject for another video. So this is where the project's at right now. Looks like an absolute disaster, but this is where it's at right now. I think I'm going to go ahead and end this video here, and the next video will work on replacing the parts in the planetary and the clutch, and then start the process of reassembly here. So it's probably be a couple multi-part video series on getting it put back together, and then we'll move on to working on everything else on it. So if you like this sort of thing and you want to follow along with this tractor as we resurrect this thing and try to make it, I was gonna say brand new, but not like new, but maybe look a little better than what it does right now, consider subscribing to the channel so you can follow along, and I'll catch you in the next video.